Here we are. We're back today to discuss the Epstein files, okay? We are back to discuss the Epstein files and why it is 2025 and why this is still a relevant conversation. We're also here just to, because a lot of people, they don't really remember who Epstein was. They don't really remember the position that he held and why this would be a person of interest to remove off the chessboard, so to speak, for people that lives and careers could be detrimentally affected by the information he held. Salute to y'all. Let's get everybody in the building. Let's discuss this because I really want to break this down and I really want to get y'all thoughts. Brandy, hey, how you doing today? Hopefully your day is going good so far. Rob's in the building. Salute. Salute. I'm bringing this topic forward today because recently, when these things were brought back up, when President Trump was asked about the Epstein files and whether or not the official client list would ever be released, he made it seem as though nobody cares about it. He made it seem as though living a dream. Salute to that. He made it seem as though this is a topic that we need to just move on with. We need to go on with our lives and that nobody cares about the creep, so to speak. That's not true, Trump. We still care because you know what? Along with him, all the information about everybody else involved in this criminal organization died with him, which I believe was the plot, the plan from the beginning. It was to erase what he could possibly tear down. There's so many people involved, including you, Trump, including you. And for those of you that have been following me for some time now, you know that I was a supporter of Trump. And I'm not saying that I completely denounce him altogether, but some of the things that you're saying right now, they just don't add up. Why would you try to sit here and convince us that we don't care? I mean, you're supposed to speak for the people, but you know that's not how we feel. We do care. Because the people that are on that list or whatnot are amongst billionaires, large institutions, royalty, people that are a part of this ring of schmex trafficking that we would like to know about, that we would like to see held accountable. You try to make it seem like, good morning, Miss Boss Lady. We need some accountability in the world today, and this is a terrible representation of it. Exactly. Exactly. Because it just once again shows us that if you have a certain amount of money, if you have a certain amount of power, if you hold a certain position, that you're deemed to be untouchable. Just as we've seen play out in the Diddy trial recently. Diddy, another billionaire that I'm sure is also on the client list for the Epstein files. Diddy is just a small pawn on this big chessboard of creeps and predators out there that usually never get held accountable for what they do. They usually never get held accountable. You see these people on a small scale, like Ratchet TV. You see people like these individuals that try to relive the lives of people like Jeffrey Epstein and P. Diddy that they worship and look up to. They try to relive what they did, but just on an extremely smaller scale, you know, extremely smaller scale. Salute. I appreciate y'all for joining me. And I hope y'all days are going well. But right now we're discussing this because President Trump is trying to make it seem like we don't care, that we wouldn't like to know, when we actually would. Because it's always been mysterious how Jeffrey Epstein was removed from this earth. It's always been a mystery, you know? For those of you that don't remember, back in 2009, Jeffrey Epstein was facing several similar charges to what he was facing most recently regarding minors and schmex trafficking, solicitation. But similar to Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein was also a man of power. He was well respected. A lot of these individuals that we see today, Elon Musk, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Naomi Campbell, Chris Tucker, are just a few of the alleged that are on this client list, not to mention hundreds of others that we know all too well, that we grew up with, and that are household names. Household names. People of extreme power, people with lots of money. And these are people that, of course, if those little black books of names that Jeffrey Epstein kept, similar to how Diddy had cameras all throughout his houses, all throughout his parties, all throughout these hotels, along with an extensive baby oil collection and ritualistic candles. Jeffrey Epstein was also keeping files because, just like Diddy, he knew there'd be a day where a lot of these people would be ready to throw him under the bus just to mask the things that they did, the dirty deeds that they did, you know? So this conversation comes back up today. For those of you that are just joining us, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We're discussing Jeffrey Epstein, the monster that he was, the monster that still lives on today by the files that are being hidden from us. And even when they do come up with alleged names and alleged file, it's just the people that they're willing to throw under the bus, you know? Like R. Kelly, for instance. Now, the Epstein situation is a lot bigger than R. Kelly, okay? It's much bigger than R. Kelly. However, it's the same thing. He's just a certain individual that they're willing to throw under the bus. It's like they give you a fall guy to kind of appease the people. They're like, okay, here, you can have R. Kelly. You satisfied? No, we're not. We're not. Yeah, he's a deviant as well. But it's a much bigger picture than just R. Kelly. It's much bigger than that. And we know it. We know it. We know what you're hiding. We know that the government has been allowing this to go on for decades. For probably longer than that. We know what you're doing. And the fact that we're prepared and ready to speak out against you is definitely a threat to you. But guess what? We don't care. We don't care because we'd rather feel safe in our communities. We'd rather know that we can send our children out to play and not have to worry about them being kidnapped, not have to worry about them being involuntarily taken away from us and sent into some type of schmex camp, sent through some organization of criminal enterprises where you're trafficking them through tunnels. You're stealing children from airports. You're stealing illegal immigrant children that are undocumented just because you can, because you think no one cares. It's similar to serial killers, you know? Sonia, salute. I'm glad to see you in the building. It's similar to the serial killers. Paul Stackhouse, salute. But you know, serial killers, a lot of times they get their start with attacking homeless people, attacking prostitutes, people that they feel like no one will look for. Because, you know, if it's one of us that has people that love and care about us, check on us, it's not going to be long before it starts becoming, it starts coming to the light that something happened, that something's wrong, that they haven't heard from us. But a lot of times these individuals, that's what they get their start on. And that's like a population of people that they can do these things, these crimes, and they can a lot of times get away with because nobody's really looking for them. And if they are or whatnot, the government has something over them, the fact that they're illegal or whatever the case may be, that their voices are silenced. And y'all know over here, we don't go for that. We don't go for the silencing of us. You're not going to silence us. You're not going to try to suppress the information we're putting out. It doesn't work. Ask Greg. Ask Greg. Everybody throw a rat up for Greg. Throw the rat emoji or a red flag for Greg flagging everybody's channels. Salute. We got 43 people in the building. We got 12 likes. Can y'all hit the like button for me? Because right now we about to get into the reasons that Jeffrey Epstein had to live. Because as I discussed before, Jeffrey Epstein was facing a similar case to this in 2009 that he actually wound up beating. Jeffrey Epstein was a narcissist. He was an extreme monster. He was terrible. And a lot of these people that I just mentioned, they all are people that reportedly flew on Jeffrey Epstein's personal airplanes. These are people that took personal rides sponsored by Jeffrey Epstein to his island in the Caribbean, Epstein Island. Yet, the same individuals all denounce having anything to do with this, having any knowledge of what was going on there. Let's be serious. Let's be for real. Okay. We're having a serious conversation. Let's go ahead and, or dubious. This is a serious conversation. Let's be real here. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't looking to delete himself. This is an 8x10 cell, and this is a 6-foot man, okay? 8x10 cell, 6-foot man. Now let's just kind of paint the picture. In this cell, there is no light fixture that he can tie something around. The light fixture, he wouldn't be able to get anything around that. There's no bars in his cell. It's a door. Okay? It's a metal door. No handle, no doorknob, a metal door that cannot be opened, obviously, from the inside. There's nothing he can attach a rope, a belt, a piece of bed sheeting to accomplish that goal. So how did he do it? How did he do it? This was the same person that when he got locked up, he was going around all. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw the rat emojis up for Greg the silencer, the flag it, the attempted silencer, the wannabe freak off frequencer. It's highly unlikely that this man could have accomplished this by himself. That's why his brother went out and did a private autopsy. Because of course, like, you know, these medical examiners or whatnot, they can be persuaded to manipulate the documentation, to manipulate the autopsy, to prevent the truth from being spread. When his brother hired a private examiner to look into this case, to look into how this death went down, the private autopsy uncovered that the ligature marks around his neck were more so related to strangulation rather than hanging. Is that surprising though? Is that surprising at all? The ligature marks represented a strangulation more than a hanging. Okay? Then we have to also look at the fact, 51 people in the building, but we have 17 likes. Please double tap the screen to support this channel. We also have to look at the fact, don't y'all find it odd that Jeffrey Epstein, literally, this was like a week before he actually was removed from this earth. A week prior, he was on, I'm trying to find a good term to say for YouTube purposes, but a week prior, he was on Delete Myself Watch, which, for those of you that know, in jail, prison, wherever you're being housed, you're already being watched, of course, because people are under high stress circumstances or whatnot, dealing with the crimes that they're being charged with, dealing with the sentences that they're facing. They're already under extreme watch, okay? So you have COs that are checking in on inmates throughout the day, and this is mandatory. And mind you, sometimes people get laxed. Sometimes there is a miscarriage of justice as far as the duties that they're supposed to uphold in there. But for the most part, they're supposed to check on every inmate at least once an hour, walking around, making visual observations that the inmate is alive and well. When you're on, forget that. When you're on suicide watch, they're doing even more checks. They're doing even more checks, and they also make sure that you don't have access to certain things. When you're on suicide watch, they put those guys in a dress. It's like a padded dress, like a green, they call it like a green turtle suit. They put you in that. They remove all sheeting, so you have no sheets on your bed. Nothing that you could possibly use to delete yourself if you chose to. Okay? Right. Thank you, Sonya. I appreciate that. He was on unalive watch. He was on unalive watch a week prior. Okay? For some reason, a few days before the alleged unaliving, he was removed from unalive watch. Doesn't that seem a little funny? Just a few days shortly before he was removed from this earth, before he was unalived, which we're supposed to believe that this was of his own doing. The narcissist, Jeffrey Epstein. A narcissist is somebody that is completely obsessed with themselves. But here you would have it, you would want me to believe that this narcissistic man with all this information on politicians, people all over around the world, royalty from different countries. He had information on all of our large institutions that were also taking part in this stuff. And you mean to tell me that even with an active appeal, mind you, as we just discussed, he'd already been facing similar charges before. And he was fairly confident this time that it'd be the same outcome, right? But you would have me believe that with all of his confidence, with all of his arrogance, that he made this irreversible decision. Just months after being sentenced to prison. Come on, man. Now let's get into the next segment of this live. So you mean to tell me that at his time of death, there's a minute of footage missing from the cameras? At his exact time of death, there's a minute of footage missing from the cameras, and y'all are gonna tell me that the reason that the footage, come on, you gotta do the Greg eyes for this one. You gotta do the ratchet eyes. You mean to tell me that literally during his time of death, the footage is missing? We live in a world of artificial intelligence. Let's just be real. Footage can be manipulated nowadays, okay? Had they wanted to, they could have probably manipulated the footage and make it seem like they just had it on loop and made it seem like nothing had been changed, nothing had been altered. They didn't even have the smarts to do that. They just think that we're so dumb, right? We're so idiotic. We don't have a mind to think for ourselves. That's why they tell you, believe absolutely nothing you hear and believe half of what you see. Especially nowadays. I mean, y'all see my capabilities. I can take a situation. I can turn a whole grown-ass ratchet man into a rat before your eyes. Listen, But they want us to believe that there's a minute of footage missing right in the midst of the unaliving, and we're just supposed to go with what they say. And then President Trump, then you would have me believe that none of us even care. We don't give a fuck about what happened, right? We don't give a fuck. That's what you said, right? We don't care. I care. All 70 people in the building right now care. You can show me how much you care by double tapping the screen right now. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Okay, the terror detective says, the spirit tells me the word face off. He was released and got plastic surgery. He has a place in Dubai. Yes, he does. And see, that's another theory. Some people are saying that he wasn't even unalived at all. Some people are saying that this was just a big threat to make sure that he stayed quiet, which is another theory that we can also entertain in an upcoming live where we will fully break this situation down. But right now, I just wanted to get y'all initial reaction to this, and I wanted to see how y'all really felt, because in my opinion, I mean, we all know this is very unlikely. It's very unlikely. Why would he want to delete himself? Why would he choose to delete himself when he knows that he has all this blackmail and all this information on all these people all around the world? He knows that he can ruin the careers and lives of hundreds of people that we all know about. He knows that, right? Sonia, how do you feel about this? With him knowing that, why would he feel ever so inclined to just delete himself all of a sudden? Why would they remove him from suicide watch? Unalive watch? Why would they remove him from that literally days before this event took place? Weird, right? Very weird. Let's get into some more details about this. So, okay, right here it says, Epstein died one day after a massive trove of court documents were unsealed, naming powerful figures and revealing new details of his trafficking network. What does it say? One day after? Come on. It doesn't take, like, we don't have to be rocket scientists here. We don't have to go to school for freaking criminal science to understand, like, what's going on here. Salute, C-Bot. I appreciate you pulling up, sir. Facts. Brandy, I was just telling C-Bot yesterday, I was like, on the last live, everybody missed you, man. You're becoming a pillar of this community. Salute to C-Bot. He does a lot around here. But I just can't get past the fact that he was appealing his case, and he'd only been sent, it wasn't long since he went to prison. This didn't happen. It's obvious what happened. He was appealing his case, and he'd already beat the case before. If Diddy had a $10 million legal team to fight his charges, Epstein had probably triple Diddy's money. If Diddy was able to afford himself a $10 million legal team, which is literally the best of the best, you don't think Epstein could afford an even better legal team than that? You don't think Epstein's legal team, even if he wasn't, would have been more than willing to expose all these government officials that we know all too well today that are still in positions of power that would have been removed? You don't think he would have been? Come on now. It would cause an extreme uproar if you knew how many of these people are involved with young children. How many of these people are involved with the schmeck's trafficking of young children all over the world? That is why this is so much bigger. We now see with our own eyes the deep state we wondered and suspected, but this is a slap in the face and tumbled apart. Absolutely. On both sides. On both sides. Because there's so many people involved or whatnot, and it always makes it look even more suspicious when, just like the rat When you go around trying to silence people, when you're telling me we don't care. Hey, Shay B, good morning. When you're going around telling us we don't care about sensitive topics like this that we definitely care about. We absolutely care to know which one of you are involved with messing with our little children. This is one of the most obscene things that you can do. You're violating our youth, our future. You're ruining lives. All the missing children. Every time I go into Walmart and I see a bulletin board full of missing children, I can't help but to think that these children aren't just missing on their own. They didn't run away and just never come back. Think about it. We all went through rebellious stages, right? When we were young. We all went through those rebellious stages where it's like, what do our parents say? As long as you're under my roof, you're going to follow my rules. Then you become a teenager and you're like, well, if that's the case, I'll just go somewhere else. Like me, salute Rachel. Like me, like I was pretty rebellious growing up. So I get mad sometimes. And mind you, like I'm the older brother of two other siblings, which are both girls, which might explain why like I fight so hard for y'all as I do or whatnot. I was always put in position to protect my sisters or whatnot. But guess what? When me and my sisters were getting into arguments or whatnot, and my mom would side with my sisters, and then I started getting like 15, 16 years old, I'd go through rebellion where I'd be like, you know what? I'm leaving. And really by leaving, it was me like riding like my bike like 5 minutes down the road to my grandparents' house. So it wasn't like they didn't know where I was or whatnot. But just imagine like 15, 16-year-old me riding my mountain bike with like 2 grocery bags full of clothes down the street. And that was me or whatnot. But guess what? I always came back. It was more like, salute to that, Dawn Renee. Salute to being the oldest or whatnot, because being the oldest came with a lot of responsibilities. But I always came back. It wasn't like I would just go missing forever. And even though like I was quote unquote missing, all my parents would do was just call my grandparents and be like, is he over there? And they'd be like, yeah. And that was that or whatnot. They'd tell them what I did to make sure that the consequences I was running from or whatnot, and the long talks and the lectures that I was running from, to make sure that they were still had, but except with my grandparents. But I always came back. When I see these posters of these missing kids, it's like, where the hell are they gonna go? Where the hell are they gonna go? I don't believe that they're just missing on their own behalf, like they just chose to be gone. They're kids. They don't have any money. And even if they have a little way, like little hustles to make some money, it's not sustainable. They can't go get an apartment. That's what just makes me upset, because I know what's going on. And that makes me extra protective of our kids. Because we gotta... One second. Hey, Valentine. Salute. It makes me extra protective of our kids because they're defenseless. You know how kids get. For those of you like me that have teenage kids or grown kids, you've been through the phases. You've been through all these stages of your kid's life that sometimes you got to think, like, when you're acting up as a kid and your parents tell you, just wait and watch what your kids, the same thing you're doing to me right now, watch, your kids are going to do you the same way. So when it happens, you're like, damn, damn. But we all have kids, you know, like, and for those of you that don't yet, in the future when you do, there's different stages and phases that, just like we did, that they all go through or whatnot. And sometimes you have to learn, because sometimes, like as a kid, like you start getting this air about yourself, or as like the old folks used to say, you start smelling yourself and you think you know it all. But that's not going to make a child go out there and disappear for months, for years. Because sometimes even when you're kids, or when you were a kid, when you get rebellious, you might go out there in life and then you fall on your face, and then you know where your support system lies. So you come back like that prodigal child after you done kind of got beat up a little bit by life. You come back and you're like, Mom, you were right. Dad, you were right. And then we move on. These kids aren't just disappearing because they want to be gone. A lot of these kids are getting entered into these criminal enterprises by grown people that know what they're doing. Absolutely know what they're doing. And they think it's all a secret. They think it's all beknownst to us, as if we don't pay attention and we don't see what's going on. And that's why we have to be extra protective over ours. Because it's one thing to think that you have these preds out there that are sick in the mind or whatnot, and these are just regular Joe Smos. But it's a whole nother thing to think that they're being protected by the government. Diddy, for a large portion of his crimes, is being protected by the government. That's why they're overlooking schmex trafficking, and they're reducing it to illegal prostitution over state lines. They're not talking about the children that Diddy is involved with. They're not talking about Ava, the daughter that Diddy brought on his live over a year, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and announced that he was adopting her to come play with his kids. Mind you, like, and then like even when he detailed the story, Diddy started talking about Ava as if he just found her on the street. But then also, like, in the same breath, like they're detailing how like he talked to her parents and everything is all good. Shut up, bro. Shut up. How the hell did you find this girl on the streets and then you're over here talking to her parents, asking if she could come play at your house? Like, come on, dude. Shut up. What are you talking about? But then they'll put him on trial for literally like 5% of what he's guilty of. Then you'll have all these deranged Diddy supporters coming all in my chats. And all we do is just throw the rat emojis up because we know they're getting sent over there by Ratty Patty over there. Do you think Epstein is walking around somewhere? It's a possibility. It's an extreme possibility, for real. Some say that he had plastic surgery and he looks completely different. Some say that he's drinking a youth potion and that he's actually in his hundreds. Nah, I mean, it's far-fetched, but right now we're entertaining theories. But one theory I know that is very true and that I stand on, he didn't do that to himself, if that's the case. He didn't do it to himself. And with the minute of footage that is missing, all these theories are possibilities. Yes, they could have manipulated or whatever, what happened. And yes, he could still be walking around to this day, which is terrible. Which is absolutely terrible to think that he could still be moving around and functioning like a normal human being with everything that he's done. But it's very possible. If he really did get unalived, he didn't do it himself. And what makes me think that, I mean, he really did get unalived is his family, his brother actually hired like a private medical examiner. And for those of you that know, for those of you that have ever lost someone and you wanted to look into the case to see if there was any foul play, you know, these things aren't cheap or whatnot. Like, you're going to pay, like, it's going to start at like $5,000 to get a private autopsy done. $5,000 is nothing to this family. They had a private autopsy done, and they said, for those of you that are just getting in here, salute to you. Please hit the like button to support this channel. They said from the private medical examiner, they said that the ligature marks around his neck correlated more with strangulation than hanging. They said it's very hard to believe that he would have been able to do this himself. Then you got to think about it. In a prison cell, this 6-foot man, his neck is over the top bunk that they're saying that he supposedly unalived himself from. He's much taller than it. Think about some of our fallen that have unalived themselves via ceiling fan, some sort of fixtures, or something that is above them. Even, we can even go deeper. Think about like a tree hanging. In those moments where those individuals are being suffocated, you see them fighting. You see their legs twitching and they're fighting and they're trying to remove the whatever it is they tie around their neck. They're trying to remove it because in those moments they're realizing they effed up and they're doing something that is irreversible. But a lot of times they're too high up and that's just a natural reaction. Just the same way a lot of these atheists that run around here making it seem like there's no God, like Diddy, but they want to clear out the courtroom because they say they want to pray with their family, right? Yeah, whatever. But just like these atheists that claim that they don't believe in God, right? One moment, guys. So just like these atheists that claim they don't believe in God, but then they get on their deathbed and that's who they're screaming for. Same goes for people that are in the process. If they have those final moments to think, a lot of times it's too late at that point. But when they have those final moments, a lot of times they're trying to reverse their actions, but it's too late. There's methods like leaning over where people can commit these acts from like a doorknob or something that is much shorter than them. But imagine the time in between that. Imagine the effort that you would have to put in to be successful at that, you know? Rather than like you actually being unable to stop it. When you're in a position where you're able to stop it and you're feeling the pain, you're feeling the life slip away, your body's natural reaction is survival. Your body is gonna really try to get you out of that situation. You mean to tell me Jeffrey Epstein, like with him being taller than the fixture he tried to unalive himself from, that he just, with him being so confident that he was gonna beat this case, he was gonna win his appeal, with him being so confident, do you really, in your mind, do you really truly believe that he went through with that? For the 3 to 4 minutes that it would have took for it to happen? You really believe? That's a long time. That's a very long time. Think about if you've ever been in a fight with somebody. Even 60 seconds in a fight is a long time. It gets tiring. Imagine trying to delete yourself for 3 to 4 minutes and you're willingly going through and enduring this pain for 3 to 4 minutes when you have so many reasons that you want to live. Even if you had one bad thought in your mind that made you think, I don't need to be here anymore. Those 3 to 4 minutes that you have to think, I'm pretty sure will make you change your mind after going through that grueling experience. The same with Jeffrey Epstein. He didn't do this to himself. That's why there were strangulation marks rather than marks of self-harm. Because he didn't do it to himself. Okay? Rachel C. I love that, I love every time that y'all pull up, y'all remember each other. Because that's really what I'm building here. Like a community of people that even when I'm not around, I want y'all to be able to associate with each other. I want y'all to get to know each other. I want y'all to subscribe to each other's channels, like Valentine TV, because we're all here to support each other. Valentine TV, she's been going live lately. Y'all should pull up. She talks about some interesting topics. Salute to her. C-Bot, he drops interesting shorts on his page or whatnot. Y'all should check him out. and we all support each other, and that's how we all grow. And then when we're talking and we're spreading these reeks geeks, that's funny. Salute to Jamie King. Also, Jamie King is somebody that's very supportive here in this community. He's also a pillar in this community. He puts out a lot of good information. He is very satirical or whatnot. So once you look past the satire, he's a very good guy. Salute, Maze. Glad to have you in the building, and happy belated birthday, bro. If you didn't see my message yesterday. Yeah. Sonya, yeah, we will be coming out with merch soon. I mean, due to recent events or whatnot, going back and forth with YouTube's biggest snitch, you know, the the rat emoji guy, Ratatouille, Ratty Patty, whichever name or pseudonym best fits him in your mind. Y'all all know who I'm talking about, though. Due to recent events or whatnot, my channel is no longer monetized at the moment. Good thing that that's not my only income, okay? Salute to God on that. Good thing that's not my only income. But we are fighting that, and we are fighting to get back monetized. But it's not going to stop me from coming on here and talking to y'all, because I told y'all, when I tell you I love y'all, I really do. I got hella love for y'all. And I enjoy spending this time with y'all. Even if it's just for 30 minutes or an hour when I get a lunch break or have some time to myself, I really appreciate it. No, it's okay. It's okay. Because just like I was monetized before, I know how to do it again, you know? And sometimes you just got to play the game in life. YouTube right now is allowing content creators, like some of the monsters on YouTube, to violate its policies by weaponizing the policies against other creators, especially when they're spreading the truth about them. But guess what? We are still standing. We're still here, and they're upset. They're mad because we're truth speakers, and we'll always speak out against them. And it doesn't matter if it costs demonetization. Who cares? Yeah, it's nice to get a YouTube check. It's very nice. And I'm also going to be dropping an ebook soon, just showing how to go from zero subscribers to monetize very quickly. And you don't have to take the same routes that I take as far as speaking out against some of these monsters or whatnot. Just know when you come over here, we will do that. And you do have a voice here. Okay? But we will be dropping that soon so that content creators that are newer, or even content creators that have been doing this for some time, can know some of the tips and tricks on how to go from 0 subscribers to monetize in a very short period of time. Because one beast that a lot of us have been facing or whatnot, and what I was facing at the beginning, was watch time hours. But once you crack the code, it's very easy, honestly. But let's get back to the title of this live. So, Snack King Cole in the building. Salute to you. Snack King Cole has been dealing with a lot of controversy online as well, from speaking out against certain individuals. Salute. He's a soldier. But I appreciate that. I appreciate all the encouragement that I receive from y'all, you know, because it definitely helps. It helps me keep going or whatnot. Because, I mean, even though, like I told y'all, that I struggle with certain things, PTSD, sometimes, I mean, it takes a lot to get on camera, you know, especially when I'm not having like the best day. But when I see y'all faces, I can't help but smile. I can't help but, and even a lot of y'all that are going to see this on the playback, salute to y'all. I can't help but smile. Facts. Salute. Salute to all of y'all that stood up and stood with me going against this fool. Because like I told y'all, it makes our voice so much louder when we stand together. Like, yeah, I can be loud and I can yell at him and speak out against him all by myself. But when I have a pack, an army behind me, he has no choice but to listen. That's why he's been under different troll accounts, trolling us in the comments or whatnot. And all we do is fire his ass up. That's all we do. Fire his motherfucking ass up in the comments and make him look stupid. But salute to y'all. Like I said, seeing y'all faces every day helps me do this. But back to the topic of the live, okay? There was no reason for this narcissistic monster to want to off himself. He already had an appeal in and was pending, and he was going around bragging to the other inmates that he was super confident. You know why? Because he had millions of dollars at his disposal to get a legal team. Again, don't you know his lawyer, the dude's lawyer was on the, allegedly on the list of people that were involved with this or whatnot. Don't you think he was passionate about it? Epstein, the monster that he was, or still is, depending on whether or not this is all a hoax and he's still walking around here like the rest of them, like Bill Clinton, like Donald Trump, like Elon Musk, like all these other people that are allegedly on this list that are still walking around here acting like they're just exuding prominence, right? Acting like they have nothing to do with this nonsense, telling us to our faces that we don't care. How do you know that we don't care when we're still talking about it? We would like to know, but you'll sit here and tell us we don't care. You'll sit here and tell us that this 6-foot man hung himself from a 5'7" top bunk. You'll sit here and tell us that the 3 to 4 minutes that it took him to complete the objective, he didn't have one resistant thought in his mind while going through the pain of leaning over. Because it's not like his feet are dangling in the air. He's taller than the bunk that he's trying to unalive himself from. So, but you'll sit here and you'll try to tell me and convince me. That's why they say believe nothing you hear and half of what you see. Because if you sit here and just listen to everything that's said to you without using your mind to actually break these situations down like we always do, they'll tell you anything. That's why they're literally like flying military drones around a lot of our local towns, our cities. And they're having you believe and run with the idea that there's aliens or whatnot, alien saucers, that they've been doing this for years. Collecting data, watching, collecting human behavior, seeing how you react to seeing certain things, putting certain chemicals in the air and doing surveillance to see how we react to them. But they'll have you believe that there's aliens flying over us doing surveillance and sticking probes up people's ass. Right? Right. Yeah. Just like they'll have us believe that a 6-foot man hung himself from a 5'7" structure and had no resistance and didn't think twice during the whole 3-4 minutes. Right. Salute to the free thinkers. Salute to the people that know not to believe just anything they say, because listen to some of the stuff these people say. Listen to some of the stuff these people say. All of these people, they're saying that they weren't in this little black book that Epstein kept for his own protection because he knew these people would turn against him eventually. Or maybe if he didn't exactly know, he just wanted to make sure that he was protected. Okay? Because he knew that he's not the only monster. But they want him to look like the only monster. Like none of them knew what was going on. They all flew on his private jets, had no clue where they were going. That's kind of like what we were talking about with the Tyler Perry situation, right? We're talking about the Tyler Perry situation, and we're talking about these men that allege that Tyler Perry solicited them for sex or whatnot. But in the same breath, they're telling me that like they also were voluntarily flying on his private jet to go visit him on his island. He's literally flying you out to his island after alluding to having sex with you. But you'll sit here and you'll tell me that this was unsolicited, that he was a predator to you or whatnot. It's kind of hard to believe. Just like it's hard to believe that Bill Clinton, Naomi Campbell, Chris Tucker would allegedly get on these private flights, go to his island in the Caribbean, and they don't know what goes on there. Just like you would also try to have me believe that all these people that were at the freak-offs have no idea. They just seen all the baby oil laying around, all the shelves of his baby oil collection and all different flavors and scents. I could imagine he probably had different scents like lavender baby oil, rosemary. He probably had like bubble gum, bubble gum, just all types of different ones for different occasions. But you would have me believe that all these people were there and they just didn't know. You didn't know what was going on. You'd see little girls walking through the crowd or whatnot that you suspected to be underage, and you just didn't know why they were there. No parents were there. They're just there. You see a woman on a table like they would have like a roasted pig or whatnot, propped up on a table with candles around her and people praying that don't believe in God. But you would just have me believe that you have no clue what's going on there. Do you see what I'm getting at? If you just listen to everything that they tell you, yeah. That's why, like, when you have people that are outside of the courthouse having a baby oil party in celebration of the victims being slandered, that's why it's kind of odd to me to think that they just have no clue. These are people that are desperately trying to get Diddy's attention. Desperately. These are people that they wish they could get invited to a freak off. Grown men. I mean, like, grown ass men that wish that they would be touched by Diddy. That's what I'm saying. Let's get to the chat. Who says Gen X don't have game? Wait, what? What is going on down here? 55 and working what I have left. I know that's right. Rachel C. Birds of a feather. Exactly. Even when we looked into Ratatouille and we wondered, because that was my main I didn't know who this dude was or whatnot until I seen him out there like acting like he wanted to fight Tisa Tails. Once I seen that, it made me look into him, and then that's when I'm like, dude, you over here making threats to a woman or whatnot, threatening of what you would do to her if her security wasn't around. And then we look at your record and we see that you have a history of this. You got a history of this. Like, come on, son. Like, what would be a good example of that? That's like somebody that you know that just got acquitted for murder saying that they're gonna kill you. It probably wouldn't hit the same if it was just like a person that you see every day that is a square type and you know they've never been in trouble in their life. But if a person that you know has been acquitted for murder or whatnot, or they served their time for a murder and they tell you they're gonna kill you, what would you think? Wouldn't you take that threat more serious? So when you got a convicted woman beater threatening a woman of what he'll do to her if her security wasn't there, what are we supposed to think? You got a track record for that. You literally got a track record for that. But then you'll go live and you'll talk about us. You'll make it seem like you're so much bigger than the program. We don't matter over here. But then we put information out about you and it instantly goes viral, back to back, keeps going viral. Then now all of a sudden we matter, and now all of a sudden you got to write victim statements and go to the police station. Now all of a sudden you want to sue Tisa Tails because things didn't go the way you planned. You thought you would be loved for doing what you did. You thought you'd be loved. He thought his subscriber count was going to go up by 100,000. He thought he was going to have as much subscribers as Tisa. Salute to Tisa Tails. He thought he was going to have as much subscribers as Tisa. He thought ABC News was going to call him and ask him to be on a segment of their show. Guess what? You still on YouTube. You still on YouTube. You still doing 5K and 10K views on a normal video, and you did 100K views because you were talking about Tisa Tails. So stop it. Ratatouille. Rat face. The hell out of here. But yeah. Shay B, the woman that take up for that. Shay B. I don't get it though, Shay B. I really don't get it. Like, why? it's funny to me in a way, because it's like y'all will sit here and watch what he did to another woman and think that he wouldn't do the same thing to you. Does that make sense? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, that's like, okay, let's say it's three of us and we're all friends, and our friend Justin just stole from our friend Frank. We find out about it, and then, like, does that make you think he wouldn't do the same to you? If he stole from another friend in the friend group, I mean, why wouldn't he do the same to you? That's what makes me so, like, it's not even like upset. It's just like, are you thinking? Like, I know this is YouTube, and I know, like, a lot of times people are just looking for entertainment, you know? Over here, like, we actually have real talks. We break down real topics, and we really get to know each other. Yeah, it gets entertaining, and we make jokes and we laugh, but it's just weird to me. It's like, you're really going hard over here to defend this dude when literally at the drop of a dime, if you disagree with him, he'll do the same thing to you. Don't you think, like, if you were Tisa Tells that day, and you had the subscriber count that she had, you had the influence that she had, do you think that it would matter to him that you're subscribed to his channel? He was subscribed to Tisa's channel. He was even walking with her, like, during the beginning of the trial, trying to get close to her. But you think that you being somebody in his chat, he wouldn't do the same to you? I don't get it. I was in the circle for a while, just watching and taking in the craziness. It became a social experiment, and the people that follow and call him king is crazy. Because some people, like, it kind of shows you, like, I don't know if you guys ever met somebody that was part of, like, a real life cult, but I've really, like, met people that were, like, a part of, like, the occultic, and they adopt these certain lifestyles, like, that the people convince them to be, like, the way of life, and their behavior changes. Like, people that you've known all your life will literally change or whatnot. Like, they'll discommunicate themselves from you because a certain person told them to. And this might be your sister or your aunt or a close friend, and all of a sudden they just change or whatnot because they're being indoctrinated with a lot of nonsense or whatnot that the people are convincing them and manipulating them into believing. Like, there's literally people over there that have seen the paperwork for that dude's upcoming case, and they still believes him when he says that we're all liars. He says we're all liars, like Cassie Ventura. He believes them. Like, we're literally showing them, like, look, this is the date. It's coming up in August, and we're pointing out, we're like, look, this is where he's gonna be at. He's been summoned by Denton County in Texas, and they're like, stop lying. And you like, what? What are you talking about? This isn't just me saying that. I'm literally showing you where it says it at. I didn't make this up. Then you tell it, you can look it up for yourself, but they won't. Because a lot of times, like, people enjoy, like, being blinded to the truth or whatnot. They don't want to remove the veil, because then it makes them question everything or whatnot. Then it kind of knocks people off balance. Yeah, I can't wait either. I can't wait either, because as much as he's been attacking this channel and trying to take us down, trying to silence our voice, he's really trying to silence Sapphire's voice. Salute to Sapphire. And I encourage you all to go support her, because she needs all the support that she can get, because August, she's going to have to stand up to this dude once again. And I'm just making sure that she knows that we don't fear him. We don't fear him at all. He's no one to be feared. You shouldn't really fear anybody but God. But just to give her that added strength to know that there's a whole community of people standing behind her, and that we will continue to protect her against this monster, please go over there and show her support. But yeah, Epstein, he didn't do this by himself. It's not, I'm not going to say it's impossible because it happens, but there's no way that in the time frame, there's no way in the time frame that it would have took him to complete this objective of unaliving himself in that manner. There's no way like his narcissistic ass didn't think like, okay, no, I'm tripping. My appeal is coming up. Let me just continue to fight this. The thought never crossed his mind about doing that in the first place. It never crossed his mind, you know? But salute to y'all. Let's see. Rachel. Rachel, isn't that funny? Look, literally, like, when he says that he doesn't have court coming up or whatever, it reminds me of a white guy that I knew, right? I knew this white guy named Matt that growing up, like, Matt used to get locked up so much for like nonsense, like misdemeanors, like disorderly conduct, and then Matt did get high, you know, so like sometimes it be like little possession charges or whatnot. But Matt was a character, like literally, like I'm listening to Matt like tell me one story of, because when he had got out one time or whatnot, like I met up with Matt, like we hung out, and I'm like, yo, like what's been up with you, bro? And that's when he tell me like he had just got out of jail, and I'm like, again? And he like, yeah. I'm like, what happened this time? He like, well, I had some weed on me and some pills or whatever. So I'm like, okay, so what happened? He was like, man, they tried to pull me over or whatever, so I got out, start running. I'm like, bro, come on, man. I'm like, all right. So, I mean, how did they catch you? He's like, well, I'm running. He's like, I get down to this gate and they chasing me. He's like, it was like two of them chasing me. And I get down to the gate, and while they chasing me, they're like, Matt. I'm like, they called your name, bro? He's like, bro, hell yeah. And I'm like, that's not surprising because he gets locked up all the damn time. So the local police know him personally. So I'm like, okay, so how'd you get caught? And this ties directly into salute 702 Smooth. This ties directly into this ratty dude, Ratty Patty. It reminds me of Matt every time he tells me that, like, or not tells me directly, but when he tells people that he doesn't have an upcoming court case that we've all seen and we know to be true, and even Sapphire has confirmed it. So it's like, what the fuck? But Matt, as he's running from the police, Matt tells me that the police call his name when he gets to the fence or whatnot. So they're like, Matt, we know it's you. And Matt keeps on running, and he looks back at him and he said, no, it's not. It's just like, it's like, bro, like, you already freaking caught. You caught as hell or whatever. They call your name out and you say, no, it's not. That's a hell of a fucking response to somebody saying it's you. That's how it looks when Ratchet says that he didn't do any of the things that we're telling him. Like, we're looking at it, bro. We're literally looking at the documentation, and you're trying to tell us that this didn't happen. So that's what I imagine whenever they call him out and he deletes comments out the chat when people bring this case up. That's what I imagine. Like, people like, Ratchet, you got a case coming up. And he's like, no, I don't. Like, shut up, bro. We all know you do. Stupid. Like, what the fuck? And then when people go along with it and they start trying to, because I've literally seen like his chat, like, of course they're gonna ride with him or whatever. They'll try to like clown people out the chat right before he blocks them. And it's funny because like they're like, yeah, see, he said he doesn't have a court case coming up. It's like, yo, what? Okay, so he said it, so that makes it true. So Denton County, they're just lying on him too. They're liars like us over here and Denton County court systems. We're all liars, right? Exactly. Exactly. Salute to y'all. Like I always say, it's always a pleasure coming in here and spending a little bit of time with y'all. We're going to do a more extensive breakdown on this or whatnot. I'm going to be dropping a pre-recorded video probably later tonight or whatnot, just to go over this situation in detail. I'm going to show some visuals, and then y'all know I'm going to add a little artificial intelligence to add to the story. Just to add to the story. But until next time, salute to y'all. We don't let anybody silence us. That's not what we do here. We always speak up. We speak out. And until next time, it's your boy Reek Ruger.